to Got a Game for You, the podcast where me, myself, Meghan, and normally Lina, but she died. She's currently dying.
That's how she feels. She feels like death. She has a little bit of a flu.
She'll be back next episode, but today we're going to give you the games that you've got to play. We're seasoned gamers, and we've been in the industry a long time. I'm talking played Minecraft before they added Sprint. Long time.
Whoa. That's old. That's old. You just let everyone know how old you are.
And I was in college when I was an adult.
Oh.
Ew.
Are you older than me?
I just gave that up for free.
Oh my gosh, are you like 55?
Yeah, don't I look good though?
You look great. Yeah, you do.
Hi, I'm Shelby, also known on the internet as Shubble. I'm a longtime Minecraft player, 4-time MCC champion.
I'm Meghan, also known as Strawberry17 on the internet, and I've been posting content for the last 17 years. Lots of bad haircuts, lots of rebranding, and I think I've really settled into cozy gaming, cozy plants, cozy sourdough. I'm just in my
cozy life.
Cozy life. I'm in my millennial midlife crisis, and
yours looks good.
It feels good.
Yeah.
This is probably my best.
You could have shaved your head and bought a motorcycle, but you got a lot of plants.
I think that's what my 40s are for. But right now it feels good. And
yeah.
I got at least a couple years in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sourdough phase.
Yeah, of course you do.
I'm intrigued by it, but I'm afraid of the monster that is the starter.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I was just saying you benefit from it because it's, because I'm making that bread, girl.
We're going to start, we're going to trade our goods.
Yes,
this is what
please.
we need to do as a society is just start trading each other.
Let's just work off the bartering system because in this economy, we just cannot survive anymore.
We'll trade. I'll give you clothing that I've made.
Crocheted clothes.
Yeah, I've not done that yet.
Oh
I'm sure I could do it.
Oh, easily.
It'll take just a month.
I'll give you bread. I've gotten really good at making protein bars.
Oh, you're good at soup. You make good soup.
I'll make good soup.
Soup season.
Yeah. Oops, we're getting distracted.
We did.
You're here
too much.
for a podcast about games. Have you ever finished playing a game that was so good it became your entire personality, but you had no one to share it with?
We're your girls.
Us too. We can relate, and you can share it with us because we also have a game for you. We're that group of friends you immediately go to for sharing and discussing all the games you can't wait to play and can't stop thinking about.
We'll bring you along on a deep dive into some of our favorite games, sharing why they're special to us.
And if you're lucky, like in today's episode, we'll have some interviews with the devs and the publishers, the people who have worked on some of our favorite games, giving you an inside glimpse at a little bit of the heart that went into the game that we know and love.
In today's episode, we have a few segments. We're going to be passing the controller and going back and playing some of the games that we've already talked about. And then we're going to go into story mode, which is my segment this time. I'll be telling you all about one of my favorite games of all time.
This is an action-packed episode, and Lina's not here to mess it up.
She just didn't want to hear me tell my story.
She was so sad. She was so sad.
Oh, man.
I was supposed to FaceTime her, but I'm pretty sure she's like sleeping.
She needs the rest.
Should we try?
Yeah, you missed the episode.
Let me see. Just in case, because she might really want to. No, that's it. It's
maybe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She might have been able to do it an hour ago. At the beginning, maybe.
She was not looking good earlier today. I'm glad she didn't pick up because that means she's sleeping and she definitely needs to sleep. But
we're going to miss her this episode.
We already do, obviously. There is so much packed into this episode, and I'm so glad that you have put all the work into telling the story.
I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. We like to yap sometimes.
I mean, sit me down.
Yap session.
I love story mode. I love the idea of this. We were talking about Got a Game for You originally. We wanted it just to be story modes, but we've built out all these different segments that I really happen to like and enjoy. And also, if you're listening on Spotify or on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below and let us know which segment you've been enjoying the most. And I've been loving all the comments for the game suggestions. Thank you. And for all of the reviews, have you seen some of them? Everyone's being so freaking kind and supportive.
I'm glad they're enjoying it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Our first segment is Pass the Controller. We've had 2 episodes now, and we've talked about a lot of games, and we've already started playing each other's games, getting into them because we were so interested when we talked about it last time.
It felt like a really good reason. It's not like the accountability of it, but I'm like, dang, it gave me the push that I needed. I have started dipping into that backlog. I started Coffee Talk this week, which I really, really liked. It was slow to start. I've been streaming it on Twitch, and everyone's kind of getting into the conversation. It's really nice to see my chat get active in it. Oh my goodness. Were you good at the latte art?
No.
Okay.
I tried to do like hearts and the fancy stuff. At a certain point, I just started dumping it in.
Yeah, I've tried everything and it still looks like garbage. And it's making me feel really bad about myself.
But really good about your barista. Compliment them the next time they give you latte art.
Yeah, because that is not easy. What have you been playing?
I've been playing, well, I played Fear the Spotlight, and I haven't played The Other Perspective
I
yet.
haven't either. It's
That one's on our backlog.
I like almost don't want to play it just yet. Because I love that game. I love those characters.
You ever get stuck in something that you're like, I don't want it to be over yet. I'm not ready to finish it. Every TV show ever for me.
I have yet to watch. There's a couple. Attack on Titan. I have 3 episodes left. I refuse. It's over.
3.
I know, and they're the craziest episodes, and I just do not. I'm just not ready. I did this with another anime. It was Fruits Basket. The remake. I waited like 3 years.
That one I watched out from your recommendation.
Yeah, because you remind me of Toru Honda.
I think that is one of the, now that I've seen it, one of the greatest compliments I could have ever received.
She's so great.
Yeah. She's like, she would be who I would aspire to be as my best self. And so I'm on my way.
Watch it. It's great.
Yes.
Okay, so you're the Spotlight.
And lately I'm in the midst of Crypt Custodian, which I'm really obsessed with.
It's so good.
It's so good. And the whole aspect of you need to get 10 friends together, essentially. I'm so excited to meet my friends.
It really does build, there's so much of the story, right? You get new moves, you meet new people.
You learn their story and how they, because everyone's dead. So you find out how that all happened.
That's not even a spoiler. It's like
that's the basis of the game.
Yeah. The new moves too, because there's certain spots that you can't get to and you're like, what's the move? What am I going to learn?
Yeah, when am I going to, and how long till I get over there?
Yeah.
What's over there?
And what's the deal with Kendra? And why does she keep messing up everything?
Oh my God. And she's got an issue with me making friends. I'm sorry, you banished me to an eternity of cleaning trash. Sorry that I got social about it.
She is so mean.
She's so mean.
I can't stand her. She is the worst. Every time she would come up on stream on my chat and I would just yell at her.
I'm like, this bitch. Every time. I give her the sassiest voice. She's like, oh, I see you've been making friends. You're not supposed to be doing that. I damned you to hell, actually.
You work for me now, buddy.
Yeah. I have my theories about her, though.
Oh, I can't. Well, you have to let me know when you finish. I love that game. And it's not a game I would normally play because it feels very grindy, but it's not. The creator, Kyle Thompson, he has other games too, which I'm like, if I love this one,
I'm
going to really love his other stuff.
We got to check them out.
We really do.
Add that to the backlog. The list just gets longer and longer. You got to add at least one explosion this edit.
Just one. You get one.
Just one.
It's a quick turnaround. Oh, you know what I played this week? So I played Gris. Beautiful game.
Looks stunning.
Stunning. It was, as you're exploring the 5 stages of grief, a new color gets added to the game. And I thought it was just so beautiful.
And it's hand-painted watercolor.
Hand-painted. This is from Nomada Studios, and I hadn't played that. It was on my backlog and loaded for a really, really long time. But with Neva coming out, I was like, I want to play that before I play Neva. Fun little thing, we have an interview with one of the publishers for Neva. I got invited out to an Apple event a couple weeks ago for Apple Gaming, and they had just released Neva onto the App Store, which you can play today, which is really cool because historically you haven't been able to play a lot of games on Mac. It's not the most compatible. Like that's why you have a console or you get a PC.
Yes.
And you know what's crazy is before I super got into like streaming, I always used a Mac. I had to buy a PC. So
you can't even play Minecraft.
You couldn't at the time. I remember like, I don't know if you see my old videos, even with Stacy and I were playing on our Mac barely. It was really, really hard.
Oh.
They're just not gaming friendly, but
yeah.
But Mac computers are so great and they're so powerful and they're amazing for like a workflow, especially if you have an iPhone and an iPad. My entire workflow is Mac. So for gaming to be a part of it, I'm like, yes, please. Finally, yeah. Well, I streamed Neva from my laptop to my PC because I need to get a Mac Mini in order to make that workflow a little bit easier.
Right. Oh yeah, that's complicated.
I have it figured out. So if you ever need tips, I have an HDMI switcher that basically goes to a whole bunch of different devices whenever I need them to.
Whoa.
And I use my third display as my monitor.
You're like a wizard.
I have the most amazing setup. I'm about to do like a whole YouTube video on like, hey, this is my setup. It might work for you. Let me know.
I need that because I kind of want to get a third monitor. I think I'm ready to expand.
Oh, third monitor?
I've got some real estate on my desk. I cleaned.
Ooh, Ooh, good.
It was like a little spring clean.
That must feel good, huh? Good
Yeah.
for you. You would like it. And the HDMI switcher is a game changer because you just have everything plugged in at all
Literally,
times.
you change games from different devices.
I just press a button and it comes up on the monitor.
Wow.
And then it's already recording in my OBS. It's pretty sick.
Check out her channel.
Check it out. Check it out. Well, anyways, back to Neva. I would love to share the interview with you guys because he gave me a lot of really good insight that got me so excited to play the game. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you. Is that cool?
Yeah, it's super interesting. Let's check it out.
It feels like such a treat when I get to travel for something as great as video games, and Apple really knows how to throw a good time. Before we dive into the Neva interview, I wanted to briefly talk about Skate City, New York, the ultimate skateboarding experience and one of the world's most iconic cities. The coolest thing about this is it's not just an upgrade or like a DLC, it is a brand new game. Your background is constantly changing, so you're always exploring new parts of the city. Skate City, New York drops January 9th on Apple Arcade. Now, I walked past this game initially because I thought it was a baby game, but Talking Tom Blast Park is so much fun. It's a mixed genre game, and it kind of reminded me of Midway Mania at Disneyland. It's a runner and a shooter, and I guess there's actual theme parks in China. It's huge over there. I was pleasantly delighted to play this, and it comes to Apple Arcade December 5th. Mac gaming truly has something for everyone. Gears and Goos is an RTS gamer's dream come true, bringing to life the future we were promised. I played a demo off camera, and I was grabbing the characters and placing them on the map in different areas and just watching them mine and gather wood, and I was just like, oh, if only they had something like this for StarCraft. It was really incredible. It releases January 9th on Apple Vision Pro. Although I didn't get a chance to play Infinity Nikki, it is definitely high on my list. And it drops December 5th on the App Store. This Apple gaming event highlighted so many new titles coming to Arcade and the App Store, 15 to be exact, with some of those joining the Apple Arcade catalog, which already has over 250 ad-free games available with a monthly subscription. But Neva was obviously the star. I tried it out on a couple of the Mac devices, and it ran so smoothly and looked beautiful, which made me even more excited at the time to play it. But I had questions, and luckily, Devolver Digital had answers.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Mark Hickey. I'm super lucky and excited to be here at this event to be able to showcase Neva from Nomada Studio that just launched on the Mac App Store today.
A big fan. I've yet to play it, but I'm so excited. It is on my backlogged and loaded, ready to play, along with Gris. A lot of my viewers and people who listen, they love this game. I watched the trailer during Summer Game Fest, and I was almost moved to tears. What was the intention going into creating the game and having it be like wordless?
Right, great question. The fact that it brought people to tears,
Yes.
I include myself. I
Right?
think it brings most people to tears. Just for some background, so Nomada, their first game was Gris.
Incredible game.
Other than being basically a playable work of art with every single scene is watercolor painting, and it's absolutely beautiful to look at. It also is an exploration of the topic of grief, which is a difficult thing to turn into entertainment, but that
Yes.
just highlights, some of the genius of the people on the team at Nomada, because it was so critically celebrated and it won so many awards. And so a lot of what made Gris special is also found its way into Neva, and that every single scene in the game is hand painted, every single frame of animation was drawn by hand, and it also deals with a not obvious topic to make fun, which is in Neva, it's about motherhood. So in Neva, you play as this female protagonist named Alba, and you're strangely bonded with this impossibly cute little
It's so
baby
cute. If anything
wolf,
happens to the
right?
wolf, I'm not going to make it.
So, spoiler alert, things happen.
No.
I won't say what, but suffice to say,
Things happen.
it's an emotional journey.
Oh, man.
And so, on the topic of motherhood, the game starts where you're caring for this young pup, and in the early stages, you need to protect her, you need to save her from certain situations, you need to encourage her. In a lot of ways, you need to be a parent to her.
Wow.
And part of the design revolves around seasons. So the first season is summertime, and then when summer passes and fades into fall, while your young baby grows into a bigger pup. And at each stage of growth, new powers get unlocked.
Wow.
And then that, introduces new kinds of gameplay.
I saw that the game is around 4 hours to beat. Is every season meant to be like around an hour of gameplay?
I don't know that it's time-based so much. Certainly the last season, I think you're going to finish quicker than the others.
Okay.
But it's got a really nice pacing. And in fact, based off of the kind of experience that you want to have, whether it's more like lay back and chill and you just want to, experience the story and enjoy how beautiful it is, there's a story mode. Or if you're up for more of a challenge, there's also adventure mode where you have a life bar and you can die and have to start over and then
Little
have to
more
sort of
hardcore.
master the combat a little more in order to get to the end.
What was the hardest part about making the game?
I'm sure that the developers could answer that question
Better
than I could, but from what I've
you've heard.
observed is that an incredible amount of time and care went into exploring and understanding what they wanted to achieve visually, with a huge amount of like pre-production done with actually drawing things on paper. Conrad Rosette, the creative director on the game, has like notebooks full from front page to the last page of all these different concepts that he came up that he wanted to bring into the world.
Wow.
That once they were approved, and agreed on with the team, were turned from physical to digital.
Wow, that's very Miyazaki.
In fact, it's funny that you say that because you'll notice that when you run into some of the enemies in the game, they're actually very reminiscent of the white-faced demon from
Yes.
Spirited Away.
I noticed
And
that.
in fact, Conrad, as I understand, is a huge Miyazaki fan and took some inspiration from there to create these enemies as sort of like an homage and a tribute to someone who was like very creatively influential for him.
The art style is very distinctive. How long does a game like that take to make?
About 3.5 or 4 years.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, you don't see it often, and we feel super lucky and privileged to work with a team that just cares so much about their art, that cares so much about their craft, and you can feel it like with every single frame of the game. And
Yeah.
every time I look at it, I notice something new and realize in that was the product of someone taking the time and the care and the attention to detail to deliver something like really visually unique and special.
Yeah.
And so from start to finish, it just feels like a privilege to play.
Dang, that is what a compliment. That must feel really nice for them to hear.
Yeah, they paid me to say that.
I thought so. You were rehearsing this. Are there any Easter eggs that people can look forward to?
I actually don't know if there's
Yeah.
any proper Easter eggs, but
Okay.
there are collectibles in each one of the seasons that are actually difficult to find.
Oh, goodness.
So you'll find, you'll come to certain areas in the game where you might see a platform that you don't understand how you can get to, or something that seems like hidden behind a piece of level architecture. But if you actually go in there and explore a little more, you'll find these in some cases kind of like these glowing flowers that you can collect. And then in each season, there's like a number to pick for each one. So to fully 100% the game, on top of just finishing
You
the
don't
story
wanna
and fighting
miss
all the
that,
enemies,
yeah.
you really want to explore everything for the completionist out there, because there's lots of little hidden treasures.
Well, where can everyone find Neva?
It launched on PC, Mac about 3 months ago, as well as console, but today it's gone live on the Mac App Store, so you can check it out, get it there for $19.99.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for
Appreciate
yours.
it.
Now back to your regularly scheduled Got a Game for You podcast. Pretty good interview, right? Just from hearing that, don't you want to play now?
As soon as he said it was inspired by Ghibli, and I could see it in the different monsters that they have like this big no face, and there's the boar, and she's
Yes.
riding on a wolf.
The heart, though. You can feel that in Gris, because now, just this last week, I played through Gris and Neva. And after interviewing, I was like, this game has a lot more depth than I thought it did. I thought it was just going to be a really beautiful story, which I love Gris, and I thought it was an incredibly beautiful story, very moving, but it didn't bring me to tears. I just thought it was very beautiful. Neva wrecked me, and this is a tiny bit of a spoiler, just a tiny bit. But in the first minute of the opening of the game, Neva's mom dies right in front of you. And I am horrible at when animals pass away. Like, that is just really hard for me.
You started talking about it earlier, and you started crying, and then I started crying.
I can't. I literally can't. But you know, the theme of Neva is motherhood. And like, I'm like, ew, I don't have kids for a reason, you know, like my dog annoys me sometimes. Like how could I? But this game explores it in such a beautiful way. I was left feeling so many different feelings. And by the time I finished the game, I was sobbing uncontrollably in a really beautiful way. It's a great game. It's visually so stunning. The game mechanics are really good. I got caught on 2 parts that I almost like rage quit.
Oh.
I was like, I need to call 911. I need someone to come over and take over the controller for me. I was getting so mad. I couldn't figure it out. And all of chat was like looking up other playthroughs to try and guide me through. They couldn't figure it out. Yeah, it was really, really tough. Luckily, we got there and I made it to the end, beat the game. But you have got to play it. I highly, highly recommend it. It just came out, and you can play it on Mac, which is really, really nice.
That's super cool.
It's $19.99 on the App Store.
Nice. That's probably at the top of my backlog because I know I'm going to cry.
After Crypt Custodian, you're going to want to dive into another like beautiful game. You really are, because I was left starving for it. And I went into all my horror games, which were really nice, but Crypt Custodian holds you in a way that we need right now.
Yeah, I always need to have sort of a story game that I'm in the middle of because I just love a game where you're centered around beautiful story.
Mm-hmm. And great characters that are just full of so much life.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Okay, well.
And speaking of story, I just felt that was a good transition.
It was. I was like, what was she about to say?
Our next segment we have called Story Mode, where
I'm really excited for this.
I'm so excited.
I'm closing my computer now.
Ooh, yeah, buckle up.
Story Mode.
All right, Story Mode.
New segment. What is Story Mode?
Every once in a while, one of our episodes, one of us is going to take the reins and we're going to tell you about, fully spoil, one of our favorite games, a game that stuck with us, that we find ourselves coming back to, replaying, or just we need to share. You need to hear this story.
And there's some games where you might not ever play it. Like, I had Lina do Story Mode with me before we did the podcast for Halo. I'm never going to play through the Halo story. But
it's interesting.
It is so good. And I talk about it so passionately. I'm like, oh my God, but Halo's story, right? It's so good. I'm so glad I got the Story Mode version of it. So I'm very excited. I'm excited for this. I wish I had popcorn.
Oh my God. Maybe next time.
Next time. For sure.
I think that you'll also maybe even still want to play it yourself by the time I'm done telling you about it. I'm not going to tell you every single detail. And there is so much to this world.
I do like that because I did start playing Halo after she told me, and it was really fun. Yeah.
Wow.
But
I won't.
Yeah. I mean, I played for a little bit just because I felt like I was a part of the story. Well, what game is it?
All right. So I'm going to be telling you about the game Transistor. This is by Supergiant Games. Maybe you've heard of Bastion or Hades, I think won or was nominated for Game of the Year.
I'm pretty sure. I thought it won.
This came out in 2014. It is $20 on Steam.
Nice.
And we do have a little bit of a content warning. There are multiple characters that self-unalive. If this is something that you're worried about listening to, take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Our setting is a futuristic, cyberpunky, but also steampunky, dystopian city called Cloudbank.
Ooh.
In Cloudbank, we're able to change the color of the sky, the sea, change the weather.
What?
All through a voting system. So the public, you can access the public terminals, you cast your vote, and suddenly the sky is purple in seconds. It's snowing.
No way.
Even whole bridges and buildings can be built and taken down in seconds by a public vote.
Shut up.
The city is full of interesting architecture and colors and lights, and it is always changing. Now we open the game to a woman with red hair standing over the body of a man who has been impaled by a giant futuristic sword.
Oh my goodness.
Somehow he's had the trace of his soul be uploaded into the sword called the Transistor, and through this weapon he's able to speak to us.
Whoa.
So we take the sword out of his body, and so begins our journey to uncover what led us to this moment in time and what kind of attack the city is currently under.
Does the sword tell you who murdered him?
Oh, we know, yeah.
Oh, you know.
It's all, yeah, there's a group of people that are the main enemies of the game, but I'll get into
sorry.
how we know them.
Yeah.
I love this.
I'm going to be obnoxious. I'm going to ask questions.
Please.
Yeah.
And even if I have the answers later, ask all your questions.
Okay.
Our main character with red hair is known simply as Red. This is an alias, but we don't ever actually learn her real name. As for our male companion, who is now a sword, his name is never given. Online, I believe People refer to him as the Boxer, which has something to do with something they found in the code. I think in the coding they call him the Boxer, and he has wrapped hands. Or blue, because the transistor is blue and red is red.
Oh, okay.
I ended up calling him Jack because at one point he says, "Don't let me go." And I said, "I'll never let go." So I'm going to call him Jack.
Yeah, I like that. Not canon, but...
Not canon. He doesn't have a name.
Shelby canon.
Shelby canon. Jack actually lives completely off the grid. Nothing is known about him. And in this society, every citizen is meant to go through the process called selection. And you choose 2 career focuses, basically. Red has chosen music and linguistics, which is considered non-traditional, they mention.
Okay.
And blue has delayed his selection for reasons unknown. And otherwise, there is no info on him.
Wait, who's blue?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote him as blue. I meant to say Jack. Jack.
Oh.
My bad. I didn't decide right away when I started writing this which name I'd
But
give
now
him.
I know in case you do say blue.
It should be Jack from now on.
Okay.
Jack delayed his selection. He doesn't know what he wants to pick. And we just don't know anything about him. He's off.
And then he dies and he comes a sword.
Dies.
Wow.
And yeah, which is really sad to start a game with
Death.
Red is actually a famous singer. Her posters are found all over the city, all over the buildings.
Oh my goodness. Celebrity.
She's incredibly popular. And in fact, her music is becoming so mainstream, it starts stirring controversy.
Oh.
Supposedly the subject matter of the music, as stated by someone who actually starts a fight at one of her shows. And he says that she's an instigator and a provocateur. And we do get some of her original music in the soundtrack of this game.
No
I can't stress
way.
enough how amazing the soundtrack is.
What? You get to like hear her sing?
Yes. You hear a few of the songs have lyrics and it's Red singing. And as far as I can tell with the lyrics that you do get in the game, I don't find anything very controversial. It's maybe just a little bit progressive and woman having a mind of her own
I see.
kind of vibe.
Okay.
But her lyrics do foreshadow the later events of the game if you're listening. And you'll only know that after you've played and then listen to the lyrics again.
Whoa.
But it's very interesting and the music is great.
So clever. I love when games do that.
After this incident at one of her shows, she decides to recede from the spotlight and work in private. But at the time of the events of the game, she has just reemerged and has just finished her first concert back when she is confronted by the members of a secret organization called the Camerata.
Hey, that's almost like my last name.
Yeah. I thought that was
Camarina.
really funny. Do you know them? Are you part of this secret organization?
I could neither confirm or deny.
Now, the Camerata.
That's
I'm
gonna
trying
mess
so
me
hard.
up.
I know. I'm trying so hard not to say your name.
Camarena.
They work in the shadows. Nobody knows who its members are, but people have heard of them.
Whoa.
And they're up to trouble. And it is made up of 4 individuals who believe the people of Cloudbank have been given too much power in changing things too frequently.
Okay.
And in their words, when everything changes, nothing changes. Essentially meaning because things are changing so constantly and at a whim, it's actually boring, uninteresting and mundane, and not the way things should be.
Interesting. Sounds like they want to control everything and that they think there's a right way and a wrong way.
Exactly. They think they have the better way and things are changing too much and it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Okay. All right.
The Camerata have actually been going around targeting individuals who are considered Cloudbank's best and brightest, most talented, most influential, most renowned in their fields, and using the transistor to upload them into this weapon to then use them for their own purpose, which I'll explain more of their plans later. But so there have been many disappearances.
So they have to kill them, right, in order to upload them?
Yes. I don't really know what happens to their bodies.
Okay, but that's just like the way that it works in the world.
They're killed off in the real world and their consciousness is uploaded into the sword, which we do get to learn a little bit more about what that is even like from the perspective of Jack,
So
who is in the
is it a
sword.
new sword each time?
No, this is one singular weapon. There's only one that exists in this world, and it has been used up until the point of the game to kidnap several people in the universe.
I see. So when Red stumbles across it, we don't know how many lives are in that sword?
No. We do uncover a lot of the missing people through the story. I don't know how many it is in total, but you actually see at the end how many people
Total. Oh, my
have been
goodness.
absorbed.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
And so the Camerata target Red next, believing that she would be alone after the end of one of her shows, this recent show, and try to attack her. But Red was not alone. She was with Jack. And in the altercation, one of the members of the Camerata attempt to stab her with the transistor, and Jack steps in front of her, which is how this happens.
What?
He gets in the way. And at this point, what's important for you to know, in this altercation, there must have been some sort of a tussle first. They seemingly try to upload her first before trying to stab her, and they actually manage to succeed just in stealing Red's voice. She's silent in the entire game, almost entirely, aside from a little bit of humming here and there.
No.
And sometimes she uses these public terminals you can find where you actually, in the middle of the game, can vote to change the weather and start making it snow. She uses it to type messages to Jack for him to read, but they got her voice.
So sad.
A singer.
How could you do that? How could you just like start uploading someone's consciousness without having killed them? That must have felt so crazy for her. I know she's a video game character, but like something is being ripped and torn away from you.
Yeah. And the trauma of the entire experience of her partner dying right in front of her.
It was her partner?
Yes. You kind of know that right away that they're lovers.
That is really, this is heartbreaking. What?
And such a statement of, this is a woman who's a singer who's making music that's considered controversial because it's a woman having an opinion.
Yeah.
And they take her voice.
Oh my God. Wait. Oh, this is scary.
The narration of the events and the unfolding and unpacking and expose is all done through Jack, through the sword. So now we need to flee the scene. And we manage to find our motorcycle because we're cool like that. And we hop on. We begin driving off. To our right is the exit. You get out of Cloudbank, out of town. To our left is further into the city. As we get closer to this turning point, Jack says, don't turn left. He wants us to get the heck out of here alive. We don't know what's going on, but Red turns left. She wants to confront the Camerata and save the city and hopefully save Jack.
And all the other people that might potentially be their victims.
Yep. At this point, she knows who the Camerata are now.
Yeah.
She knows that they've already taken a number of people off the board.
She knows their agenda.
Yes. But not fully, actually. They don't. We haven't explained why they're taking these people's consciousness to use for their plans, but we're good.
So she has the hopes of potentially bringing Jack back to life, even though his body is dead.
He's been stabbed, but we don't know for certain that we can't put him back.
Okay.
I don't know. We don't know.
I imagine she wants her voice back too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If possible, she wants to save as much of whatever she can.
So she's ready to fight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She wants to fight. She does not want to flee. Along the way, we encounter the process. Since this altercation and in the Camerata losing control of the transistor, they also lost control of the process. Essentially, this weapon was going to be used to rewrite the city down to its code, its atoms, and rebuild it in whatever image the Camerata saw fit. It's essentially the paintbrush for making their perfect city.
Whoa.
Which is why they had been targeting some of the most prolific and talented individuals to take advantage of their expertise and talents in building their new world.
Wow.
But also while simultaneously eliminating them as a threat who may have opposed them down the line.
Once they upload their conscience, they are in control of it?
Have access to, I think, all of the information of that person, all their knowledge, and that's how we start learning about some of the people that have been gotten by the transistor by having it. This is how I'm able to have a lot of the information about people's selections and basically stores data on them, and then they can use that to put into code.
Got you. And if they don't have the sword, then they've lost access to all those people that they've been gathering?
Yep. They're in there supposedly while Red is carrying it around. But Jack is the only one in there that's able to speak through it.
Whoa.
So,
this is so twisty. And this is like right at the beginning of the game?
Yeah, this is still how it starts.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll let you get to it.
This is like, the most of your gameplay is dealing with the process now. Now that Red has the transistor throughout the city, we find buildings and structures are already being transformed into these just plain white rectangles. It's creating the blank canvas.
Whoa.
The streets are going white, and carrying out the process through the city are these robots that come in various forms. Some are known as the young lady, the man, the creep, the jerk.
Oh.
And so you have to battle your way through every district, occasionally coming across bodies of people who have already been partially processed. So you have like the top half and the bottom half is just these little white rectangles, and like they're like kind of pulsating.
Ew, they're like zombies basically?
Yeah, their bodies, they're already dead, but you are able to access what's called a trace. You get this is what Jack has uploaded into the sword. And Jack is actually able to talk to the trace of them and say, hey, you're okay, get in here.
That's crazy.
It's really comforting that now he's in there to do this, but...
Yeah, he's like kind of freeing them a little bit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not all of the people that get processed have their traces uploaded. We would have to get there to them to do that, and some are just lost. And
so sad.
And so while we're going through the events of the game, there's actually live news broadcasts coming into the terminals of like, we're evacuating the city. If anyone's left inside, get out.
Whoa.
As you progress and level up, you gain more data from absorbing these traces of people you find, and you gain functions with different abilities, which is the main combat of the game. You get 4 active abilities and 4 passive abilities, and you can unlock additional slots for upgrades to your active abilities. Each can have 2. Also, every function, depending on if you are using it as an active, passive, or an upgrade, offers a different ability or benefit.
Ooh.
So you want to try and work out the best combinations of functions and upgrades. And while you're figuring out your best move, the Transistor actually allows you to freeze time and you plan out your moves. So you can try, you get a certain amount of actions and you can run over here and then try your 1, 2, 4 ability. And you can try them in different combinations to see which output the most damage.
Whoa.
And then rewind it back and try again. And then you put it all in play. And you're faster than everyone and they're all moving in slow-mo.
That is so cool.
It's super cool.
Oh my God, I love that.
It's a very satisfying combat. I found out the hard way when I replayed recently that once you have a playthrough, I've played it 3 times previously, you begin what's called a recursion. So the game saves what level you were at when you last played and all of the functions you unlocked. And all the enemies are harder.
Oh man, yeah, I bet.
But
that does not sound like easy mode.
No, I played on hard mode, but I beat it anyway.
Of course you did. Minecraft champion.
What's interesting about when you play for the first time, the opening line is Jack speaking, "Hey Red, we're not going to get away with this, are we?" When you replay, the voice is not Jack's voice actor. It's actually a different character in the game.
What?
Which I didn't realize till I started again another 5th playthrough. And we haven't met this character yet, but he's the final boss. And it's his voice when you replay that says, "Hey Red, we're not going to get away with this, are we?"
Oh my God, this is twisty.
It's so interesting. And the process remembers you.
Really?
Yeah.
And what you did?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I didn't notice because there was so much time between.
Yeah, of course.
But there are some moments where you can tell where the game is meant to give you a tutorial. It kind of like freaks out on you.
Really?
There's the first combat, you have it say, here's an example of what you can do. And it starts giving you potential moves. But in my gameplay, it gives you like 100 and then it like glitches. Because I did it already. I have all these options. I already know.
Yeah.
I didn't know though, because I forgot after 4 years.
Oh God, yeah.
So I had to remember really quickly.
A quick panic. It's so crazy because Transistor sounds like Crypt Custodian might have, been really inspired by some of the game mechanics from Transistor.
I think these like types of games, there's a name to Metroidvania. I think. That's like the type of game.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard that before.
I had never either, but that's what that describes that game style or
like
genre.
It's like a very satisfying type of combat for me. And I like the pausing to plan your moves, which is very reminiscent of Fire Emblem, another favorite of mine.
Oh, I gotta play. That is on my extremely backlogged and loaded.
That one requires big strategy, so it's a thinker.
See these big brain games. I don't know.
You also get to romance everybody, so it's fun.
I'm back in.
It's moved up a little in the list.
Say less.
Eventually, we end up encountering our first member of the Camerata, Sybil. Sybil was our friend. And also is in elite social circles throughout Cloudbank. Her job for the Camerata was gathering information about high-value targets.
Ooh.
But Red starts getting the vibe that she's like a little too obsessed with her. So Red has already started keeping her distance from Sybil, and Sybil thinks it's because of our partner, this mysterious man that's appeared and is aloof. Jack. They don't like Jack.
Sounds like she's in love with us.
I think, like a little gay.
Yeah, girl.
Could be. In our encounter, Sybil has already been 98% processed and is mostly machine at this point.
Whoa.
But
she was down for the cause? She was like, yeah, make me a robot? Or
I don't know. So we find her actually.
She's a rat, so rats get
they
ratted.
They get ratted.
I don't know what I was gonna say. I was like, they get stitches? No, that's snitches.
But well, we're not letting them get away with their bad news.
That's right.
I don't think it was Sybil's intention to get processed. It was none of the Camerata's intention to become processed, but they lost control. And Sybil was actually at our show that night. So she gets processed in that building that we were starting the game outside of. She was in there and I guess either didn't flee in time or
they lost control.
We took the weapon that controls it. And I have actually my own theory about a lot of these enemies having these names. One of them, I forget its name, but it's like the photographer and it takes photos of you. And I think a lot of the enemies, because now Red has her hands on the transistor, I think they're taking the form of something a little more personal to her than maybe you would have thought originally.
Really?
Because there's this one enemy later that I didn't write about, but it's called The Spine of the World. And at the same time in the universe, she has a song that she's written called The Spine of the World.
No way.
And then there's an enemy called The Spine of the World. So
Wait,
there's like a connection between her and them.
Do you think she's spawning these enemies unknowingly?
Maybe unintentionally. She doesn't know how to control it. It's also it's meant to be in its cradle. It has this like housing device. And so and the person wielding it doesn't know what they're doing. But I do believe there's like a personal connection between her and these robots, the way that they're presenting themselves.
Wow, that's crazy. And you don't realize that until,
No, because how does she have a song canonically with the name of an enemy that comes later after?
Yeah, it's a little too much of a coincidence.
I have another theory, but we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
So you defeat Sybil and you're able to move closer to the location of the next two members of the Camerata, a pair of brothers, Asher and Grant. Asher was a writer and editor and also had a personal interest in the history of Cloudbank. In his free time, he would spend it doing research, which he found to be very frustratingly difficult to piece together. He says there are a lot of dead ends and contradictions
With Cloudbank?
with the history of Cloudbank, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Asher ends up getting close with a member of the administration, which is essentially the government of Cloudbank. And that administrator shows Asher a place beyond his wildest dreams. This is just what Asher describes in his own description that
Retelling, yeah.
And with this power, the administrator tells him together they could learn so much about the past and the future. That administrator is the fourth member of the Camerata, but we're going to come back to him.
Okay.
Then we have Asher's brother, Grant. Grant was also an administrator with the longest record of public service, but he's getting old. He probably should be considering retiring soon, but he doesn't want to give it up yet. And at this point, he's served every cause, always pleasing the majority, switching to whichever side he needs to, which starts making him feel hollow.
Yeah. I mean, no spine, right?
Yeah. Yep. Just on one hand, it's part of the job of being the public servant, but he's not standing. He has his own beliefs and positions and
he's not standing up for them.
Yeah. And now he wants to.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they're not good positions.
Oh no. Yeah. Cause I was like, wait, these are bad guys, right?
They're bad guys.
No,
yeah.
Okay.
They think things will be better if they have control. They're the better opinion than everyone else's.
Gotcha. Dictators.
Yeah. And so the Camerata is started by these two brothers initially. As we get closer to the location of the brothers, Asher starts using the public terminals to send us private messages. He slid in our DMs.
Ooh.
And he's basically telling us about how this isn't what they wanted. This isn't what they intended. If they could have taken it back, they would. They have big regrets now. This isn't what they wanted to happen.
Oh, okay.
And while Asher is sending you these voice messages, he's also speaking for Grant quite a bit. He's saying Grant had this plan. Grant is sort of the older, maybe not quite the leader of the group, but definitely sort of a voice of influence for all of them. And Jack points out that we haven't heard anything from Grant himself. And by the time we make it into the building where Asher and Grant are, and we've received our last message from Asher, we actually find them both deceased, having taken their own lives.
No way.
To avoid the process and consequences.
Oh my God.
The game actually, as you defeat enemies, when you are finished with your encounter with them, the game will give you a name for that encounter, essentially. This one is called the Cowards.
Wow. Oh man, that must have been really intense as you were playing through, because you were like, it was leading up to you meeting them, yeah?
Yeah, and you think you're leading up to the next fight, right? You fought Sybil.
Yeah.
You think this is just the next boss fight. No, they took themselves out of the equation.
Oh my God, that's some pretty intense storytelling.
We do absorb their traces, though.
Oh.
So actually, Jack is able to have a little final word to them, give them a piece of their mind. And then we don't ever hear again from anyone that's uploaded except for Jack. And they don't go where he is. He's standing alone. He says he's alone.
Interesting. I'm confused. This Grant guy and the other guy,
Asher.
So they were the bad guys, but then they started to feel like they were full of regrets. They made a bad choice. So they're remorseful?
They only regret it because they lost control. They were still going to do whatever they wanted to do if they kept. It was because Red intervened in a way that they didn't expect. This one other guy showed up that they didn't expect to be there. And so now that they've lost control and it's taking over without them at the hands of the weapon, they're like, well, this isn't what we were going to do. We weren't going to do that.
Oh,
and it's gone. And no one, it's completely out of control and people are dying.
Okay.
But they were planning on taking control of the city in their own way.
I see.
just not in this way.
If you did decide to meet up with them, they were probably going to try and fight you to get the sword back.
Yeah, I mean, you would have expected that these guys want the sword back from you when you come up to them, but they don't even want to deal with it.
Things are so bad. They're like,
They're
out.
getting bad quickly. The city is being taken over, and anyone who is unable to evacuate is
Being absorbed.
gone. Yeah, then they're not being absorbed in the way the traces are. They're just being processed and killed. And unless we intentionally absorb their trace, they're lost.
And this is like, when you see this happen in game, is it like a UFO? I'm imagining like a UFO just absorbing them, or like how does what takes them?
So you see their trace is like this little floating blue cube that is making these little mumbled noises, which is their little soul having a little voice. And Red just sort of takes the sword and it goes.
Oh my God.
The sword is really cool. It's actually like a giant USB, really. And it has all this circuitry to it, and it'll sort of like unfold itself into this.
Wait, hang on. The sword is killing all these people?
Well, the sword's not. No, the people are already dead. The sword is just taking their souls so that they're not gone forever into a place that we don't even know what inside the transistor is like.
It's collecting them. So the transistor, the sword, isn't the one that's responsible for all of these deaths happening.
No, it's an unfortunate side effect of this group. The group of people being selfish and having these horrible intentions to rewrite the city. They lost control of what they were using it for. Its purpose in the world, I think, is meant to give you that power to create something, I think, beautiful, maybe more like art. They've put their corrupted intentions into it, trying to control people, and then lost control.
I see.
And no one is able to stop it until they get their hands back on the transistor and put it back in its housing. It's called the cradle. It's no one's fault except the Camerata for starting this. They should have never started a thing like this.
Does Red know it needs to go back in the cradle?
Not yet.
Oh my God. So she has no idea that all these people are dying and passing on because of what she's holding on to?
It's like a little bit her fault, but not really her fault.
Oh my God. But when she finds out, okay, I'll let you keep going. Holy smokes.
I wonder if she feels a little guilt once she finds out like this is carrying on and taking people's lives because she's keeping it out of its device for this long. But she doesn't want to give it back to them either.
Oh my
They're just going to use it
goodness.
to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, but how do you stop the killing? Like, oh my God.
And apparently Asher and Grant wanted no part in fixing that.
Yeah, of course not. It was out of their control.
So at this point, almost the entire city has been processed. We start finding more and more smaller rectangles scattered all over the streets. And those are the people who weren't able to evacuate and are no longer able to be uploaded. Their trace is gone already too.
Whoa.
They're gone.
Massacre.
Yeah. We don't ever have any idea of the number of people that were not able to evacuate or were able to. We have no concept.
This is a very interesting twist on like a zombie apocalypse, like some sort of disease that wipes people out. But this is the transistor.
It's very similar to the idea of AI taking over because we create it and then lose control of it.
Oh, yeah. Very Terminator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're also starting to see these robots lined up in rows filling street after street, hundreds and maybe thousands. They're not even fighting us anymore. They won. They took the city. All that's left now is us and the last remaining member of the Camerata, the only other person left in the city, Royce Brackett.
That sounds like a Pokemon villain.
He really kind of has that vibe.
Really?
He's a little bit kind of attractive though.
Oh, the bad guys always get me.
He's got this voice.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh man, bad guys and bad girls. This is my toxic trait. I'm like,
I can change him.
No, not even. I'm just like, okay, yeah, be mean to me.
I know, right? Something about him that I do actually find interesting though, and even the motivations of the Camerata in general, I love a villain where you're like, I kind of get it.
Yeah, right. I do love the idea too of like, I was explaining to someone about Princess Mononoke and they're like, so who's the bad guy and who's the good guy? I'm
complicated.
Like, no one really is good or bad. Everyone has their reasons for why they think they're right. And you're caught in the middle of it as Ashitaka.
And it's kind of part of the simple fact of the world is moving and changing.
Yes. I like when things are presented that way because I think with everything that's happening in society today, it does feel like a very like, oh, this is good and this is evil. And it's like, it's kind of the lesser evil or the lesser good. We all have our opinions and everything feels right, but everything's more complicated than that.
And there are those people that think their opinion is better and everything would be better if you did what they thought. That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. Did we learn anything from Arcane?
Yeah, I haven't because I haven't finished watching.
That's all I'll say.
All right. So Royce is a great engineer and architect. He planned the roads, the buildings, the byways, and he loves what he does.
It's so crazy because these people sound like they have the best of intentions.
Yeah, Sybil probably less so because she is just someone getting close to people for her own benefit.
She's a little nasty.
She's a little social climber, definitely. Yeah. He's struggling in his job because of the ever-changing whim of the people. He can never let himself become attached to anything he creates.
Oh.
Because even just a day later, they don't want it anymore.
Wow. So he feels very useless.
Yeah. He starts noticing a pattern in the changes that the public want. Bridges come down for railways. Railways come down for parks. Bridges are built over the park, and the cycle continues. And it's just a repeating pattern of, actually, we want that. Now we want this. Now we want that.
He's just tired.
So Royce actually does try making things differently, and he starts making things more interesting and more avant-garde, but it's just unpopular with the public. That's not what they want.
Okay.
So he goes off on his own personal venture, and in doing so, this is how it's worded in the game. He discovers the formula for how structures are formed in CloudBank.
Oh.
So how things are able to just materialize and dematerialize. Because apparently we don't know how that's working in the game.
It's just like a mythical thing.
Yeah, it's part of that weird, we don't really know the history of our city even.
Wow,
and we don't even know how the creating of the buildings and the sky changing works. But Royce discovers the formula, and in his research of this, he's actually led to the physical transistor, or he says it found him.
Whoa.
We have no idea why this tool presents itself to him. With that, he is basically able to control everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
He is CloudBank, basically?
CloudBank is at, whoever holds the transistor, CloudBank is at their whim. They can just walk up to a building and change it.
Wait, does Red know she can do that?
No. She wouldn't even know how. She's just holding it, and the process is running itself, basically creating that blank canvas because it doesn't know what else to do. So we walk our way all the way back through the city, and we find the original place where Jack's body was left, and now it is just a pile of white squares. His body is gone.
No.
And we finally find ourselves at the door of the lair, so to speak. It's just like a tower for business of Royce Brackett.
The bad guy.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
He greets us first with a floating TV screen projecting his face on it
while
he
that's
speaks to us. It is actually, it's really fun. It follows us around. And he basically explains to us, we both want the same thing, to stop the process. We are on the same side at this point, essentially. Things have obviously gone too far.
Yeah. This is not what he wanted.
And we'll both die if we don't stop it at this point.
Oh.
We haven't evacuated, and it is too late.
Okay. But as long as Red's holding the transistor.
I think, it's still, all of these robots are attacking her anyway, so they're trying to process her even though she's holding it. They just don't have any recognition of the tool in her hand because she's not using it properly.
Oh my God. She is being processed this whole time and she has no idea?
Well, no, she's not being processed, but they are going after her. They're trying to.
Attempting. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
The process is coming for everyone.
Whoa.
So he wants her to return the transistor to its cradle. You're plugging it into its source, I guess. I don't know if he found it like that or he created that.
So the transistor is a manifestation of the cloud, essentially?
It's like the tool. It is confusing and they do not give you straight answers, but we're constantly being referred to this place inside of the transistor. And we don't understand it yet, but I am going to get to describe some of that to you very soon.
All right.
But it is the tool. It comes from its world within itself. It's a little bit similar to the Matrix.
Okay, gotcha.
And you go inside. Actually, Jack does describe, he says he's standing all alone, but when he looks up, he sees Red's face in the sky. That's what he says he sees. And Royce says it's this incredible world in there. We agree with Royce. We make our way all the way in. We can see him on his little podium talking to us from a distance because he's a coward too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we give the transistor one last hug because that's Jack. And we don't know what's going to happen after she returns it or what's going to happen to him. And after sending it back into its cradle, we are transported along with Royce into the transistor.
Holy smokes.
Now we get to know what's going on in there. We are standing in fields of golden wheat.
Ooh.
In the distance are more and larger transistors, giant even.
What?
Towering over us like skyscrapers. We are face to face with Royce, who is holding the transistor.
Jack?
No, Royce, the bad guy.
But is he holding Jack?
No, he's holding another one.
Because there's so many, of course.
We're holding our own, and he has, obviously in this world where there's a billion of them, his own now.
Okay.
And he says only one transistor can exist on the other side. And so one of them will be going back, and one of them will be trapped inside forever, just like Jack.
Oh my God.
And this is the final battle. He's our final boss, and Royce essentially is an AI with all of the same abilities that you have.
No.
He can freeze time, plan out his attacks with all of the same combinations and functions. And you also notice in this arena are the souls of everyone who has been absorbed. They're in these like blue cubes, and when you switch into the freeze time mode, you see their bodies and like this glowing light source coming out of them inside their little cubes. They're like in prisons.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, so going up against Bryce, you said?
Royce. He gives energy of like a Bryce, you know what I mean?
It's like he mirrors you, basically.
Yeah, and he maybe even is better than you, depending on how you put your functions together. He's really good at, he gets some good damage done on you. He's definitely the most difficult in the game. After you defeat Royce, if you do, you transport yourself back to Cloud Bank, and the process is stopped. It's over.
Okay.
And now everything is gray and seemingly made of stone. So like the process is stopped and it's frozen in place as this material that's stone-like.
And no one's come back.
No one's in the city anymore, but you are able to start walking back and rewrite things as you go. You can walk up to the bridge and recreate the bridge that it once was and put it back the way it was before. And after a little bit of walking, you find yourself back at Jack's body, the way it was left before or after he was stabbed. Sorry, he's still been stabbed.
Yeah.
There isn't any way to put him back into his body.
No.
And deciding that she doesn't want to be without the love of her life, Red sits down next to him and impales herself with the transistor.
Whoa.
And so this uploads her inside, and we find her standing hand in hand with Jack in the golden wheat fields with a bright blue sky. He says, hi. And she says, hey. Her voice is back.
Aww.
She has her voice back. She has her man back. So it's like a bittersweet. They possibly, allegedly, depending on your theories, can live in this world forever together.
Yeah, they're like living on a different like timeline or plane, right?
Yeah, a lot of people compare it to like, well, so we can start getting into
Theories.
It's maybe like a simulation, but then
That's what I was thinking when you
Yeah.
first said it, but I'm like, it's a video game, but it sounds like a simulation. Because how does no one know the history of the town or what's happening? Because like even her impaling herself, that could have brought her to a realer form of life.
bingo. That's what I think. I think Cloud Bank is the simulation. They want you to think inside the transistor is the virtual world. I think that's the real world. There's blue sky, a normal
With the wheat
plain.
fields, yeah.
Wheat. There is also actually in the background of your battle with Royce, with the wheat fields and everything, there's also this little red farmhouse in the corner. I don't know who built this. I don't know how it got there. It's also in the background of the final, like the credit scene where you're standing with Jack.
Interesting.
So we're actually in the same place as Royce. Wherever he went, he's there too.
Oh my gosh.
supposedly, somewhere. I'm not sure. And I don't know why the people are in their little...
Because she won, right?
Yeah, and it's the same. If that farmhouse is there, that's the same place.
Huh.
And I don't know if he ends up in a little prison cell like the other people. And I don't know that they ever get out either.
Like when you defeat him, does he pass or?
He kind of, you see his transistor get destroyed and then it fades to black and you're in Cloud Bank.
Gotcha.
So he is supposed to be there physically in whatever form somewhere.
Interesting.
But-
have you ever seen the OA?
No.
Very, very interesting concept where they jump into different timelines and different bodies by unaliving themselves in the current ones. That's the only way they can do it. It's a very wild show. It's on Netflix. But that always kind of like just this ending kind of got me thinking of that a little bit.
Yeah. It also kind of, I feel like with all those other transistors, maybe they lead you to other simulations.
Whoa.
If Cloud Bank is one.
Yeah, and if there were so many, because it made it seem like the transistor was so unique, and for him to have his
Yeah.
own, what world did he come from, if any? You
Yeah,
know?
where we are left with a lot of questions at the end. You don't know where Cloud Bank came from, or who created it, or who the original wielder of the transistor was, who built this farmhouse.
And those little souls are still there.
They are still there. The last we see them, they're in those cells. And I don't know why we can't get them out, or that's kind of left open-ended. Maybe they're too far gone.
Maybe they're souls that pass on to their next life through one of the transistors, and they're just hanging out.
Maybe they're just in a different simulation now.
Wow.
Who knows?
That is wild. What a wild story. That must have been like very twisty for your brain to play through.
Yeah. And it's so much of this information comes from, it is not just given to you. You have to do the work to find this, to get some of these details. And there are a lot of hints of like, you don't really know what's going on. And they make you question reality.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it, because as you were describing everything, I'm like, this is boggling my brain. I am very grateful that you have a story for me instead of a game for me to go and play, because this is one I probably wouldn't play, if I'm being honest.
You know something else about it too? I just remembered they refer to every time someone leaves Cloudbank, they say they're going to the country. They just keep saying this phrase, going to the country. And then in the Transistor, wheat and a farmhouse.
Yeah.
Is that the country?
It must be.
But there are supposedly people that did evacuate and they're making news reports. Well, they're not actually. The reporter in the game making the news reports stays in the city. She goes down with it.
Whoa.
So we don't know if anyone
actually made it out.
Once they leave.
That was my next thing. I was like, what is beyond the city?
Once people left leave Cloudbank, we aren't able to be, we don't get any contact from anyone outside at any point.
Oh.
And the reporter stays.
Fascinating.
Thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk about one of my favorite games. Not everyone's favorite Supergiant game because it's so confusing, but I really like that you're left to interpret a lot of this. And I'm very excited now to go back and play Bastion and just see if there's any
That is
connection.
one game that I did play. I did play Bastion. I really enjoyed it. But it was very hard for me.
Oh.
Having gone through Crypt Custodian and having a little bit more grit, I bet you I could go back and play Bastion and have I have those like that muscle memory now, and I feel a little more confident in my abilities.
Got that strategy
Yeah,
brain.
I got that strategy. So maybe I'll give that a go. How long is Transistor?
It was about 5 to 6 hours.
Maybe I will play it. Gosh, now you got me thinking. I'm just like, well, I want to see this world, because I had it in my head, and anyone watching the video, we've paired the gameplay to it, so everyone has got to see it. But for me, just sitting here, I've heard about this game, but I don't remember seeing anything about it. So that was really fun to get like a trailer of it or a full
in
story.
word form.
Yeah,
It is very visually stunning.
really
Too. Yeah. It's so heavy on sort of a darker landscape, but then you're lit up by the lights of the city, which are very heavily blue and red, and then your pops of gold, which give me like that steampunk-esque vibe to it.
Man, I wonder if they have easy mode, because if they do, I'll give it a go.
I do think it's much easier on your first run. You're gonna at the base level 1. I logged in, I was level 12. I played it again. I played it once on stream and then I played it again after.
Whoa.
Actually, I really put my work into this one, and I'm at level 23 now.
Holy smokes, Shelby.
Honestly, I'm crushing everything now. The process done for.
Done. Wow, that's so impressive. It's so funny that you replayed it so many different times. That's a you and Lina thing. I played through a game once.
I don't actually normally do that. It's not really usually a thing I do.
Yeah, it's not your
But
thing.
I found myself wanting to replay the story a lot.
Wow.
And it does, at my level, I could probably beat it in 3 hours.
Dang. Honestly, we were talking about couch co-op, like how we used to play games as kids. Yeah. We played it through watching our older sibling play the game.
Yeah.
And then usually after they had beaten it, I would get to do my own playthrough.
Yeah.
But getting to experience it the first time, watching your like brother or your sister play it first.
Sometimes you don't want to do that hard work and heavy lifting. You just want a story like a movie.
Yeah. And they get to do it for you. Sometimes when it was really, really hard, my brother would pass me the controller. And I remember these moments so vividly, because he would get frustrated and he would need a break and he'd go make himself a snack and he was like, here, you try. And I'd be like,
wow, my brother wouldn't let me touch it.
Oh, really?
It was his Xbox, so it wasn't a shared but even when it was the shared consoles, he's like, no, I'm doing it. He was good at it though, so he never needed help.
Oh, my brother was good. I think he just was sweet. He was being like a little tender. And it was always the Super Nintendo. So he'd come back and be like, all right, fill me in. What do I got to do? I'm like, okay, I think if you go from this angle, like he already knew what he had to do. He just made himself some toast and came back, but I felt like I was contributing.
Yeah. I don't know. That's like, you have to be built that way to be a watcher of playthroughs. I love going on YouTube and finding no commentary. There are so many games that I know the whole story of. I never played. I watched all of the Dead Space games in no commentary playthroughs.
No way.
The Last Guardian, which maybe is one I should play because it looked really good.
That's so funny, because I'm always looking for like second screen content as I'm working, and going to find a playthrough where there's no commentary would actually be really good. Like BioShock. I want to watch.
Those are too scary.
Oh, really? Are
to
they?
play. Except
But the
for
story
Infinite.
is really good though. Yeah. So like Lina has given me a little bit of the story of it. I'm like, I would sit through and watch that.
Yeah.
Easily.
The first so I played BioShock Infinite, and it is an entirely different vibe from the original BioShock.
Really?
And I didn't know that. So I finished that game, loved it, incredible. I would recommend.
And then you went to BioShock.
And then I played BioShock 1. That's a scary game. BioShock Infinite's not.
Really?
It is an entirely, and you're underwater. It's an underwater scary game, the first game.
That's
Infinite's in the sky, in this magical world.
Yeah, I have played a little bit of Infinite. Yeah. The underwater is creepy.
So jarring.
I want to do that with The Last of Us 2, especially with the second season coming out.
Yeah.
Because I've played through a little bit of the first one, and I am such, like, when the zombies come, I freak out. I drop my controller multiple times. I have no chill. I can't just stay steady in the moment. I
Can't be calm.
I can't. I lose it. And there's timed action sometimes, and I obviously press the wrong button every single time.
Dang.
That's me. So I'm like, maybe just watching someone else play that.
Sometimes you want that backseat.
Yeah, and still get to experience the story without all the, sweating.
Write that down. A good name of a segment if it ever comes up, backseat gaming.
Yeah, okay.
That could have been, story mode was good.
No, story mode's great. It was perfect. Thanks for tuning in to Got a Game for You. Be sure to follow us on socials everywhere at Got a Game for You and Got a Game for You Pod on Instagram.
Let us know if you have a game for us. We'd love to hear it. And make sure you leave us a rating. It helps us out a lot to support our show. And we'll see you in the next episode where we dive into our holiday picks.
Ooh, and they're not spooky this time.
No!
I mean, well, I don't know. Hold your breath. Lina's not here, so maybe.
Yeah, get yourself comfortable just in case. Get a hot cocoa and
some cookies and some holiday cheer. Yeah, brace yourself. Buckle up.
This is coming from you, whose favorite movie is the Scary Santa one.
It's called Krampus, and it's incredible. Okay, my new favorite Christmas movie is Red One. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You have to see it immediately.
Okay, I gotta go now.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.